PMQs LIVE You've got something right for once. Commons erupts at May's dig at Corbyn. The showdown comes after last night's crucial vote to transfer EU law into the domestic statute book laid bare striking divisions in both the Labour Party and Mrs May's ruling Tory party. But the Prime Minister was on good form as she launched a savage attack on Mr Corbyn, who she claimed had brought stagnation to the country. She said, Labour have backtracked on Brexit, they've gone back on their promises of student debts, and they would cause and lose control of public finances. He may have given momentum to his party, but he brings stagnation to the country, to cheers from her benches. Labour leader Mr Corbyn last night suffered his own backbench rebellion after 19 MPs defied him over the Brexit vote in the Commons, while at least 15 Tory MPs have announced their intentions to vote with Labour against locking the Brexit date into law. See below for live coverage of today's PMQs as it happened. 12:56 p.m. John Barron MP urged Mrs May to ignore the siren, defeatist voices in preparing to embrace the world when it comes to trade with World Trade Organization rules. Mrs May said, "We want to negotiate a good, close partnership with the EU 27. She said the opportunities for overseas trade would mean more prosperity and more jobs here in the UK. 12:53 p.m. Lucy Powell, MP for Manchester Central, said it had been 6 months since the Manchester terror attack which claimed the lives of 22 people. She said the city had incurred £17 million in costs associated with the attack and asked for a clear and categoric commitment for the previously promised refund. Mrs May said the majority of funds would be made available by next week. 12:50 p.m. Labour's Angela Eagles said earlier this year Mrs May claimed she was the only person who could provide a strong and stable leadership, but asked her, why is she crumbling? Mrs May hit back, telling her she was a member of a party that can't even decide what it wants from Brexit. 12:48 p.m. Charlie Elphicke, MP for Dover and Deal, said his constituency was on the front line for businesses preparing to leave the EU. He asked for a commitment of £1 billion to be set aside to prepare for Brexit. Mrs May said, "We have already made funds available for the preparations and work. We hope we're going to get that good deal, and we're working to get that good deal." 12:44 p.m. Tory MP Paul Masterton referred to a violent rape in 2016 perpetrated by a Romanian man. He asked, "Can the PM explain what the government is doing to stop dangerous individuals entering the country?" He asked for assurances Brexit would not result in the weakening in security cooperation with the EU. Mrs May said, "I'm very clear that we want to maintain that cooperation on security and on criminal justice and law enforcement matters. It's important to us all." 12:40 p.m. The Prime Minister has been quizzed over what she is going to do about suspected Russia interference after Boris Johnson said there was no evidence of Russian meddling in the elections. But Mrs May herself warned Russia it would not get away with interference on Monday. She said, "It's all very well for Labour members pointing to the Foreign Secretary about what he said. But in my speech I made a specific point of giving examples of Russia interference and they were not in the UK." 12:34 p.m. Mrs May has been asked to safeguard the NHS, and would the PM consider making NHS-trained doctors commit to 5 years in the NHS to combat the brain drain out of the service? Mrs May said Health Education England was looking into the issue and will report back next year. 12:31 p.m. The PM has been asked if she believes it is important for MPs to scrutine the EU withdrawal bill. She said, "We will be leaving the EU on 29 March 2019. There is a lively debate going on, and that's right and proper. There are strong views held on both sides of this house. We are listening to contributions being made and listening carefully to those who wish to improve the bill. I hope we can come all together on the decision that the country took to leave the EU." 12:28 p.m. SNP Ian Blackford has told Mrs May that the Scottish Fire and Police Services are the only ones in the UK that pay VAT. He asks, will the UK government now give the £140 million back and scrap the VAT? This has been a long-standing SNP campaign, and we will not give up. The PM said she would look into this and reiterated that, when a service is made national instead of regional, they are no longer eligible for VAT to be